Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going deep on something pretty wild. Sovereign AI. We've got reports, news, even some hot takes, all pointing to a future where AI isn't just about algorithms, it's about, well, power, really.
It's like suddenly the world's woken up and realized AI isn't just another tool. It's like a total game changer, and everybody wants to be holding the winning hand, you know?
Okay, so gotta ask, for those of us not glued to every AI headline, what exactly is sovereign AI when we say that?
Imagine like a world where countries or even just regions have their own AI ecosystems, right? Almost like digital kingdoms, each with their own rules, their own champions, their own goals. It would be like the internet, but with this huge focus on self-reliance, controlling your own AI, your own data, and making the tech fit your values, not someone else's.
So it's not just about who's got the smartest algorithm, it's who controls the whole game, basically.
Yeah.
Intense.
Oh, it is. And the fascinating part is there's no one right way to do it. We're seeing all these different players come up, each with a totally different strategy.
Okay, well, let's meet these players. Our research is showing some big names: US, China, Europe, and Japan. Each one seems to be tackling sovereign AI in their own way.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like watching different like movie characters trying to conquer the same digital landscape.
Ooh, I love a good movie analogy. Break it down for me.
Okay, so you've got the US. They're kind of like the Tony Stark of AI, the innovator, always pushing the limits, relying heavily on private companies like, OpenAI, Anthropic to lead the charge, all about what's possible, sometimes even with that move fast and break things kind of vibe.
Very Silicon Valley for sure. But isn't the U.S. also kind of nervous about, well, other countries, especially China, catching up?
Oh, absolutely. And this is where it gets tricky. The U.S. is walking this tightrope between, like, encouraging open source AI, sharing the knowledge, collaborating, but also wanting to keep their lead, technologically speaking. They're even using tactics like export controls, which are basically rules that limit what kind of advanced tech, especially stuff like semiconductors, can be sold to certain countries.
So they want to be the cool kid who shares their toys, but also want to make sure they still have the best toys in the sandbox. I get how that could cause some tension.
Yeah, for sure. And then you've got China. They're more like a super organized strategic hive mind almost. They've got this very centralized, state-led approach to sovereign AI focused on national objectives and, well, social control.
That sounds a little Big Brother-ish, if I'm being honest. Does that mean they're prioritizing things like surveillance and censorship?
Well, their model definitely brings up those concerns. They're putting tons of resources into AI that can, like, monitor citizens, control information, even predict behavior. Think like the pre-crime division from Minority Report, but on a massive scale.
Okay, yeah, that is a little dystopian, not gonna lie. So we've got the U.S., the risk taker, always innovating, and then China, super organized, maybe a little scary. What about Europe? They always seem to be doing their own thing.
Europe's more like the cautious philosopher, They're all about ethical AI development, focusing on data privacy, human rights, making sure AI is used for good, that kind of thing. They've got things like GDPR and the proposed AI Act, basically rule books to protect individuals and set clear boundaries on how AI gets used.
Oh, they're the wise old mentor, warning everyone about the dangers of unchecked power, basically.
Exactly. But the question is, can they actually keep up in this global AI race while playing by a totally different rule book? Can they innovate A&D, stay ethical? It's a tough one.
It is, but they developed some pretty impressive AI projects like Mistral in France and LF Alpha in Germany. Definitely ones to watch, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And then there's Japan. They're going for a very different vibe, more focused on harmony and collaboration.
Okay, so which movie character are they? Got to keep this going.
Think of them like the peaceful, tech-savvy society from a Studio Ghibli film, where robots and humans work together for the common good. Japan has this long history of robotics and automation, right? And they're using that to approach AI in a way that focuses on things like elder care, disaster response, making robots that fit right into society.
Okay, that's a nice change of pace. So it's not just about who's the most dominant, but also about making our lives better, especially with things like aging populations and climate change on our minds.
Right, exactly. And the interesting thing is Japan is also developing their own large language models, like the one from the Fugaku project, tailored to local languages and culture.
Yeah.
They're not just copying the US or China, they're doing their own thing.
So we've got these major players, each with their own playbook and vision for the future of AI. It's like a global game of chess. but with way higher stakes.
And the stakes just keep getting higher as more players enter the game. Places like South Korea, Singapore, India, they're all investing heavily in AI, coming up with their own innovative approaches.
It's like everyone's realizing the future belongs to whoever masters AI. And they're all trying to figure it out on their own end-to-end terms,
And that brings up one of the most fascinating questions. What happens when this whole sovereign AI race reaches a tipping point? What if the focus shifts from nations to individuals?
Okay, now you've really got me curious. What do you mean, individuals becoming sovereign in the AI world?
Imagine you, the listener, have control over your own AI. You own your data. You choose how it's used. You even have the power to make your own AI assistant tailored to exactly what you need and value.
Whoa, that sounds straight out of science fiction. But you're saying this could actually happen?
I think it's not just possible, it's the logical next step. We're already seeing this demand for data privacy, for people to have more control over their information. Individual sovereignty takes that further. It's owning your data, but also having the tools to shape AI to fit you.
So instead of being at the mercy of some AI system, someone else design your own AI experience. Wild.
That's the idea. Imagine having an AI assistant that's not just like personalized, but actually reflects your ethics. If you're all about sustainability, your AI helps you minimize your impact. If you're big on privacy, it's built to protect your data, like Fort Knox.
That is a huge difference from the AI assistants we have now, which, let's be honest, often feel like they're serving someone else's agenda.
Exactly. And that's what makes individual sovereignty so powerful. It flips the script, puts individuals back in the driver's seat of their digital lives.
Okay, but let's get real for a sec. How would this even work? Do we all got to become coders to make our own AI?
Not necessarily. The cool thing is, this idea can grow with the tech. As AI development gets easier to use, more accessible, we can totally imagine a future where making your own AI assistant is like building a website or tweaking a phone app,
So you're seeing a future where AI isn't this mysterious thing only a few people understand. It's something everyone can use and shape to what they need.
That's the goal. And I think it's a good one. Individual sovereignty could unleash so much creativity, so much innovation, people building AI solutions for their own unique problems and goals.
It's like democratizing AI, right?
Yeah.
Making it a tool for everyone, not just a weapon for the powerful. But I gotta ask, are there downsides to this? Risks?
Oh, of course. Every new tech has risks.
Yeah.
One worry is misuse. If everyone can make AI, what stops someone from making AI that's, well, harmful or straight up malicious?
That's true. It's like giving everyone a superpower with no guarantee they'll use it for good.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's so crucial to talk about the ethics of this. We need safeguards, guidelines to make sure this tech is used responsibly for the benefit of everyone.
So it's not just giving people tools, it's building a culture of responsible AI use.
We got it. And I think that's a challenge we can handle. Humans are amazing at adapting and innovating. If we approach individual sovereignty carefully, with ethics at the forefront, I think we can create a future where AI really does empower everyone and unlocks all this new human potential.
Bold vision, but I like it. It's a good reminder that even with all this tech changing so fast, we still have the power to shape our own future.
And that's the key takeaway I hope everyone listening gets. The future of AI isn't set in stone. We're creating it, each and every one of us, with the choices we make and what we do with this technology.
So to wrap this part up, what's your final thought for everyone? What's the one thing you want them to remember?
Don't be afraid to ask questions, to push back on assumptions, and to demand a future where AI works for us, not the other way around. The future's in our hands. Let's make it a good one.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this wild ride into the world of sovereign AI. Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and remember, the power to shape the future, it's yours.
Absolutely.
Now let's dive back into those global players and see what they're up to.
Sounds good to me. Let's do it.
Okay, so we're back, ready to dig deeper into how these sovereign AI players are actually doing things. And I gotta say, I'm still loving that movie character comparison. It's really making this whole thing click,
Gotta make it relatable, right? Helps to grasp what each approach is all about and what might come of it.
Exactly. So let's start with the U.S., our Tony Stark, the innovator. How are they using their strengths in this AI race?
Well, they're definitely going all in on their private sector. Companies like, OpenAI, Anthropic, they're getting top people, billions in funding, really pushing what AI can do. It's like a constant competition to build the most powerful AI out there, the one that can do it all.
Kind of like they're trying to build the next Jarvis, right?
Exactly. But here's where things get kind of interesting. The U.S. also has this strong belief in open source tech, the idea that sharing knowledge and working together is how you make progress faster.
But doesn't that seem kind of contradictory? If they're worried about China catching up, wouldn't they want to keep their AI secrets? Well, secret.
That's the tough spot they're in, yeah. On one hand, they want this global AI scene where everyone benefits. On the other hand, they don't want to lose their advantage, especially when it comes to tech that's super important for AI, like those advanced semiconductors we talked about.
So, like, they want to be the good guy, but they also got to look out for number one. Tricky.
Very tricky. And that's why they're turning to things like, export controls, basically rules saying certain countries, mainly China, can't get their hands on certain advanced tech that could be used for, well, military stuff or strategic advantage.
So they're trying to slow China down by cutting off their access to the building blocks of powerful AI.
You got it. It's like saying, hey, we're happy to work together, but we're also going to protect ourselves. Definitely causing some friction out there.
I bet. All right, let's switch gears to China, our hive mind. Their whole approach seems to be about central control and national goals. What's that actually looking like on the ground?
Well, they're definitely playing to their strengths. Huge population, tons of data, and a government that's throwing money at AI research. They're building systems for everything, surveillance, censorship, even planning the economy, and, social engineering.
Okay, yeah, that does sound kind of Orwellian, to be honest.
Yeah.
Any specific examples of how they're using AI like this?
Sure. They've already got facial recognition tech in major cities, tracking people's movements, even flagging anyone doing stuff the government doesn't like. They're using AI to go through social media posts, online activity, looking for any sign of dissent or potential trouble.
It's like their social credit system on steroids, almost.
Exactly. And that's why a lot of people are worried about privacy, free speech, and, well, AI being used to oppress people, basically.
It's a big contrast to the U.S., who at least say they're all about individual freedom and democracy, even if they don't always get it right.
True. And it makes you wonder, right? If China's way of doing sovereign AI becomes the norm, what happens to the internet? Do we end up with this fractured, controlled, online world where information is limited and you can't speak your mind?
Yeah, not exactly a future I'm looking forward to. Makes you wonder if there's some middle ground, a way to use AI for good without giving up our basic freedoms.
And that's where Europe comes in, our cautious philosopher. They're trying to find a different path, one that puts ethics and human rights first.
All right, so let's talk Europe. They seem to be all about setting limits and making sure AI doesn't go off the rails. But can they really keep up with the US and China while playing by a different rulebook?
That's the million-dollar question. Europe's betting that in the long run, ethical AI is going to be more sustainable, more trustworthy, and ultimately better for everyone. They're doing research, but they're also making strict rules like GDPR for data privacy and the proposed AI Act to classify and regulate AI based on how risky it could be.
So building a framework that protects people while still letting innovation happen.
Exactly. Plus, they're trying to create this digital single market within Europe where data can move around freely, but only under these strict ethical guidelines. It's a big experiment. Who knows if it'll work?
Kind of like they're building this ethical AI utopia inside Europe where innovation and human values can both thrive.
Ambitious. But the challenge is they're in this globalized world, data flows across borders, and other players like the US and China, they're not always playing by the same rules.
It's like building a safe haven in the middle of the Wild West.
Yeah.
So how are they actually doing? Are they getting the talent and the money they need while sticking to their principles?
They've had some wins, for sure. Companies like Mistral in France, Lef Alpha in Germany, they're making cutting-edge AI while staying true to European values. But they're up against the US and China, who can move faster and offer, well, bigger paychecks, let's be honest.
Sounds like an uphill battle.
Yeah.
But gotta say, I admire their commitment to doing AI ethically. Gives me hope that maybe we can find a way to make AI benefit everyone, not just a select few.
I agree, and that's why these conversations are so important, looking at all the different approaches to sovereign AI, really thinking about the future we're building.
Absolutely. And speaking of different approaches, we can't forget Japan. They're doing things their own way, focusing on harmony, collaboration, and making AI part of society, not just a separate thing.
Right. Japan is fascinating because their approach comes from their culture. They've always respected nature, valued craftsmanship, and seen tech as a way to make human life better, not replace it.
So how do those values show up in their sovereign AI strategy?
Well, they're all about AI that works with humans, not necessarily instead of them. For example, they're putting a lot into robots for elder care because they know their population is aging and will need help. They're also looking at AI for disaster response, making their cities safer from earthquakes and such.
It's a more human-centered approach, right? Solving real problems, improving lives.
Exactly. And they're not afraid of making their own advanced AI either. The Fugaku project, for instance, they built one of the most powerful supercomputers out there, and they're using it to develop large language models specifically for Japanese language and culture.
So they're not just using AI, they're creating it, pushing the boundaries in their own way.
Absolutely. And they're doing it with this focus on collaboration and responsibility. They're getting industry, academia, and the government involved, making sure AI is developed and used in a way that benefits everybody.
It's a nice contrast to the cutthroat, winner-takes-all vibe we see elsewhere.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that there are many ways to do sovereign AI, each with its own pros and cons. The important thing is to find the path that fits our values and leads to a future where AI is a force for good, not something to be afraid of.
Well said. And speaking of the future, we haven't even touched on individual sovereignty in the AI world.
Yeah.
That's where things get really interesting.
It is. It's an idea that could totally change everything about AI and give power to individuals in ways we can barely imagine.
Okay, well, let's jump into that after a quick break. Be right back to explore the potential of individual sovereignty in the age of AI. Welcome back to the Deep Dive, everybody. We've been all over the world of sovereign AI, from big-picture national strategies to the idea that individuals could have a lot more power in this whole thing.
And yeah, that individual sovereignty piece, that's what I think is the most exciting part. We've talked about governments, companies, all fighting for control, but what if the real shift is to the individual? What if that's the future?
That's a big idea for sure. We're so used to AI being this thing that big institutions control, tech giants, governments, you name it.
Yeah.
But you're saying people could become like the architects of their own AI.
Exactly. Think about it. We're already seeing this push for data privacy, right? People wanting more say in how their info is used. Individual sovereignty, it takes that idea and runs with it. It's not just owning your data. It's having the tools to make AI fit you specifically.
So instead of being stuck with AI systems, someone LSE designed you could basically design your own AI experience. That's wild.
That's the vision. Imagine an AI assistant that's not just personalized. It actually reflects your ethics, you know?
Yeah.
If you're all about sustainability, your AI helps you live that way. Big on privacy. Your AI is built to protect your data like it's the crown jewels.
That's so different from the AI assistants we have now, which, let's face it, often feel like they're working for someone else's benefit, not ours.
Exactly. And that's why this idea is so powerful. It shifts the power dynamic, puts individuals back in control of their digital lives. No more being at the mercy of someone else's algorithm.
Okay, but let's get practical for a sec. How would this even work in real life? Would we all have to learn to code to make our own AI?
Not necessarily. That's the cool part. This whole concept can evolve as technology does. As AI tools get easier to use, more accessible, I can totally see a future where building your own AI assistant is like making a website or tweaking a phone app, you know? No crazy coding skills required.
So you're picturing a future where AI isn't this mysterious thing only a few experts understand. It's something everyone can use, can shape to fit their own needs. That's a powerful idea.
It is, and I think it's a future worth working towards. Individual sovereignty could unlock so much creativity, so much innovation. People building AI solutions for their own unique problems, their own dreams. The possibilities are huge.
It's like democratizing AI, making it a tool for everyone, not just a weapon for the powerful, right?
Yeah.
But I ask, are there downsides to this? What about the risks?
Oh, of course. Any new tech comes with risks. One big one is misuse, for sure. If everyone can make their own AI, what's stopping someone from making AI that's, well, harmful, dangerous even?
That's a good point. It's like giving everyone a superpower, but with no guarantee they'll use it responsibly.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to talk about the ethics of all this. We need rules, guidelines, ways to make sure this tech is used for good, for the benefit of everyone, not just a few.
So it's not just about giving people the tools, it's about building a whole culture around AI, a culture of responsibility.
You got it. And I think that's a challenge we can handle. Humans are adaptable, we're problem solvers. If we approach this carefully with ethics as our guiding principle, I think we can create a future where AI truly empowers people and unlocks all this incredible human potential. That's the goal, at least.
It's a bold vision, but I like it. It's a good reminder that even with all this crazy tech changing the world so fast, we still have a say in what our future looks like.
And that's the message I hope everyone listening takes away from this. The future of AI isn't set in stone. We're creating it right now, each and every one of us, with the choices we make and how we use this technology. It's up to us.
That's a great way to put it. Well, folks, that's our deep dive into the world of sovereign AI. Thanks for joining us on this wild ride. I've learned a lot, that's for sure. Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and remember the power to shape the future. It's in your hands.
Couldn't have said it better myself.